So a few weeks ago, Supercell released their first 2023 update for Clash Royale, and if you've been paying attention at all in the community, you'll see that it has not been well received. It's been a disaster, and historically, I think will stand shoulder to shoulder with Clan Wars 2 and the surprise of level 14. The community managers have been doing damage control for weeks on social media, and even put out a video shortly after the update acknowledging the frustration from the community. My original plan was to make a video about level 15 when that came out, but today I think I'm going to be discussing this new update and including level 15 in the discussion. I'm mainly going to be talking about why players hate this update, the supposed reasoning for certain changes, the actual reasoning for certain changes, speculating on why Supercell has done what they have done, and why Supercell seems to have taken this radical shift in greed in just the last month. So in case you don't know, here's a brief on what the update actually was. This was a relatively small update as there was no big feature or massive gameplay change, but there was still some pretty major changes which players have not taken well. The first major change is the new Pass Royale system. Rather than paying $5 for the season pass, they've added a second tier, the Diamond tier, for $12. On top of that, they've raised the price of the original pass to $6. This in itself I will not criticize Supercell for. With rapid inflation devaluing several currencies over the last year, $5 is worth much less today than it was in 2019. If you want to get exact for US dollars, $5 from 2019 is worth about $5.88 today, which is pretty close to the price of the new Gold Pass. And since rapid inflation will likely continue for at least the rest of the year, and I doubt Supercell is going to raise the price again anytime soon, the $6 pass will actually soon be cheaper than the $5 pass from 2019 if you look at it from a purchasing power perspective. However, I don't think this was the main concern players had, because they didn't just raise the price for the original pass and leave it at that. They essentially reworked the whole reward system. There were two major things Supercell removed from the original pass that severely decreased the value of it: the magic coin, and the most valuable magic item of all, the Book of Books. The magic coin could be used for up to a value of 100,000 gold, an amount of gold that can take the average player weeks to obtain. In the Book of Books, which allows you to obtain as many cards of any rarity you need to have enough to level up. Comparing the actual gold value of the old pass to the new gold pass, the old pass wins out. The Book of Books removal also makes the pass incredibly less valuable. These books were almost always used with champions due to how hard it was to obtain them otherwise. I don't know if any player has actually maxed out a champion without the Book of Books. To give you an idea of how much value is being taken away here, Supercell recently put out an offer in the shop at the end of the March 2023 season for $40 for just 8 champions. Meanwhile, with the old pass, you could get up to 20 champions with the $5 pass if you use the Book of Books that comes with it. And this $40 offer is considered 7 times value to Supercell. And there is another offer that I want to bring up that players get when they reach Arena 20, giving you a $30 option for the Book of Books and the Magic Coin along with 8 additional wildcards. This is a terrible offer when you compare it to the old Pass Royale, considering you can get the right 2 magic items for a 1/6 of the price, not even including all the other perks it came with. Just buying 2 Pass Royales would give you infinitely more value than this $30 offer. This is clearly the reason why Supercell removed the Book of Books from the pass. This book essentially made any offer pointless to buy because the pass would always beat it. With a rarity rarer than legendaries, Supercell either wants players to grind for years to earn them or have to spend a lot of money. Skipping years of grinding for just $5 to $10 is not good for profit. Now, this may be controversial, but I actually don't have a problem necessarily with Supercell removing the Book of Books from the pass, because I always thought it was too valuable. I'm surprised it was ever in the pass in the first place as a regularly appearing item. Allowing the Book of Books to be purchasable for so cheap with the pass caused a massive disparity between free-to-play players and Pass Royale holders. I think removing the Book of Books will in the long run help free-to-play players since there will be less max champions to go against. However, the new $12 Diamond Pass doesn't have the Book of Books either. It only contains 2 champions, meaning that the $5 pass is technically more valuable than the $12 pass. Remember, a Book of Books can give you up to 20 champions, each of which convert to 40,000 gold after you max it out. Now, although I do agree with removing the Book of Books from the pass, the amount of value taken away from the pass in this process was unprecedented. I think Supercell should have added more to both passes. If it was up to me, I would throw in a book of a specific rarity, extra gems, trade tokens, buffing boost potions and including those, decreasing chest unlock times for pass holders, and throw in some cosmetics like star points, banner tokens, and maybe it would have even been a good time to introduce more text emotes as something to get excited about with the new pass. I know this is a lot of stuff, but it doesn't even make up for the value that the Book of Books gave. And I can't imagine it's difficult to add more text emotes, and players would love them. Clash Royale has been shifting more towards a cosmetic monetization system over the past few years anyway, so I think Supercell should have used more cosmetic items to compensate for the lost value of the Book of Books. Now, the Diamond Pass actually did include one new cosmetic, the animated battle banner, but there needs to be a lot more than this to at least somewhat make up for the lost value. So far, it only sounds bad if you're somebody who plans to spend money on the game regularly anyway. However, if you're a free-to-play player, this update did hurt you as well. At the end of the old pass, free-to-play players could get a free champion plus a free book of any specific rarity, but after this update, this is no longer the case. There's already been changes in recent months that make it harder for free-to-play players to obtain champions like the Path of Legends, which in turn led to the end of monthly chest boosts and the removal of silver chests. That's because both of these changes slowed down the chest cycle, thus preventing active players from getting as many Royal Wild chests. It takes an insane amount of time to max out a champion without the Book of Books, and with Supercell likely adding more champions and level 15 in the future, it's just going to keep being impossible for free-to-play players to ever max a champion. If you're constantly opening chests all the time and pushing high on the Path of Legends every season, you will now get 2 to 3 champions a month, and as of April 2023, you need 150 of them to max them all out, meaning it will take a very active player around 5 years to max out all their champions. And you know that 150 number is going to grow with new levels and more champions added. Now obviously there are a few other ways to get champions without spending money, but the grind is still really tough for everybody. Now let's talk a little more about Supercell themselves. Now I understand Supercell's intent for the changes that they made in regards to the pass, as I already discussed and they briefly stated. However, originally Supercell seemed to just be misleading the player base, saying that the pass update was much needed, which you can argue is true from different perspectives, but this implies that the community was complaining about the pass, which wasn't really true. And I think the biggest misleading line from their official blog was, "Our goal here is to give Clash Royale buyers more bang for their buck," which is objectively not true, as they contradicted this line in a future blog themselves, stating that the magic items made the pass too valuable and that the player should take advantage of the old pass while they can. They admitted here that the old pass is better and that the whole goal nonsense of getting more bang for your buck was just a lie. I know lots of creators like to defend Supercell, saying they always have good intentions even if they make bad decisions, but it's things like this that make me think Clash Royale developers really don't have great intentions and that they really don't respect their player base. If Supercell is going to rework progression, even if it hurts the player base, I wish they would just be upfront about that, even if it would give them initial backlash, because when they say one thing and then switch up their reasoning later, it only makes them look worse. Did they really think any amount of sugarcoating was going to make players not realize the most important and useful magic item was just straight up removed? It was going to be an inevitable backlash no matter how they handled it. So just suck it up and give the real reasoning up front. Now we all know both Clash Royale holders and free-to-play players are taking a hit in progression with this update, but there is one change that supposedly makes up for this hit: the season shop. We now earn season tokens which players can spend on a variety of rewards. I love this concept and was actually excited for it, but this was implemented horribly. You are limited to only obtaining 1,000 season tokens per day plus a set amount depending on your pass tier. But if you're skilled enough, you can earn more in irregularly occurring challenges. The Super Archers challenge gives 10,200 season tokens, which is kind of generous. But if you're not buying the pass, it takes a lot of skill to make it all the way through, and it only adds up to be enough for one emote. For older challenges, an emote was just one of many rewards, but I am almost 100% positive the total amount will slowly decrease over time. Check back in a year from now and compare how many you're getting in April 2024 to now. But this whole part of the video is rewritten because this challenge came up as a complete surprise to me. I originally had said that Supercell wasn't doing these types of challenges anymore because they had said so themselves. They phrased it very specifically that there was no more paying gems to continue playing and that players could earn season tokens without any downsides. Let me make myself clear though, I'm perfectly fine with these types of challenges staying. Although there is a way to interpret this as them not lying, it's undoubtedly very misleading and I am certainly not alone in this. Overall, I really like being able to play special game modes without having to worry about getting kicked, as well as having normal challenges to earn rewards. But even with the Super Archer challenge, the distribution and amount of season tokens is not great. You can collect the maximum amount of season tokens in just 2 battles, and it's just not fulfilling at all. Maybe they could even have a challenge rush similar to Gold Rush, where one weekend a month the daily cap is raised to 7k. We can't get the free champion, book of cards, emotes, and other small rewards that we used to get with the old free pass and challenges. And even with way more pass tiers now, these factors combined really only give an illusion of more rewards. Now I want to talk about some other small changes that came up with the March update that has frustrated many players. Special challenges have been revamped. This is your main source of season tokens and what you'll need to play in order to earn rewards. As I said, I like this concept. Nobody likes boost potions, and some people really want banner tokens and others want gold. Party mode was also merged into this section, which I think fits well, now giving players many casual options and different modes to play at any given time all in one place. Other than the progression issues I already discussed, this seems like an overall fairly decent revamp. At least that's what I originally thought. I liked party mode because it's a good way to earn crowns and fill up your chest slots when you just need a break from the bore and the stress of pushing ladder, but this update completely ruins that, forbidding challenge crowns from counting towards reward tiers and not allowing wins in casual game modes to give you chests. This seemed like a deliberate change in order to encourage people to play regular 1v1 battles, knowing people don't enjoy it as much. When you make the grind harder, that's what encourages people to pay to skip it, and that's what it seems like Supercell was intending for, as this change doesn't make the game funner or better for the player. In the past, Supercell used Gold Rush and Crown Rush as an extra incentive for people to play ladder, which I think was great, allowing players to still play casually if they choose, but giving an extra benefit to those who switch. This was a solution that benefits the player base entirely, but taking away the benefit of casual play to incentivize people moving over to ladder only benefits Supercell, because if people can't progress through the reward tiers as easily, that incentivizes more reason to spend. And since Supercell doesn't lose money by people not obtaining free rewards, this move makes sense from a financial perspective, assuming those players don't just leave. But it seems like players are leaving due to this update, so I really don't think this move was smart and should be reversed immediately. If that happens, I think that will make this part of the update significantly better. One other part of this update that I didn't even realize until after I started working on this video was the fact that the Path of Legends is now Mega Draft instead of normal 1v1, meaning you can't push with one single deck during the April 2023 season. And here's the kicker: the cards are not at all level 11, but simply capped at level 11, meaning if you use a card that is not leveled up to level 11 in your own collection, it will not be that level when you pick it and use it. This might be surprising to hear, but I actually really like this. Not only do I like draft personally, but I'm just happy to see Supercell take a risk. I think Supercell has always had a problem taking risks in the past, which is why the game feels like it stagnates sometimes. I've said the same thing about long-term underused cards before. If a card is terrible for years, buff it or rework it. If it doesn't work out, revert it. With Mega Draft being the main mode for Path of Legends for a season, we have something to observe, either realizing it isn't good and moving on and learning from it, or realizing that Supercell found a way to make the game better. I think the potential benefit outweighs the risk, but with everything else going on with this update though, this controversial change probably should have waited for another season. However, I've seen some comments that say this is just a way to get people to drain their resources before level 15 comes out so that you don't have anything to spend on your main deck. Since if you use a card in Mega Draft that's not level 11, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Since you can't push with one single deck this season, this encourages players to upgrade all their cards. Since level 15 is coming by June at the latest, it's certainly plausible, especially considering Supercell was encouraging people to drain their resources for level 14 by having the prices of upgrades back in 2021 right before. That might be plausible because according to this official graph, only 6% of the active player base have more than half of their collection at level 11. But since we were warned about level 15 in advance, I'm still okay with this Path of Legends change, because players have the choice of spending their resources now or waiting for level 15. Now let's dive into this ongoing controversy. Level 15. I made a video talking about the Clash Royale event and the controversy of level 14. I knew that level 14 set a precedent of Supercell adding more levels in the future, but I didn't think we'd be seeing a new level this soon, especially considering how much backlash there was towards level 14. At first, I couldn't even believe it. I genuinely thought Supercell was only saying that and they were going to backtrack it later, but they have confirmed it's definitely coming and April Fool's has passed. But why does Supercell need to add a new level? Well, they answered that. Supercell acknowledges that there are players who don't want level 15 and players who do. But where does Supercell cite the players who do demand more card levels? Supercell states that at level 14, players were upgrading lots of cards beyond their main deck, as well as old players returning to upgrade their cards, which obviously displays a demand for more card levels. I'm not a data analyst, but I'm smart enough to know that correlation does not always mean causation. Supercell states that players were returning to the game to upgrade their cards after level 14 was added. That's what happened. Supercell added level 14 and players were just so hyped they rushed to download the game just for the satisfaction of upgrading their cards for the fun of seeing a little 14 above their troop instead of a 13. Or maybe they added a new card rarity which introduced a new way to play the game that rejuvenated interest in the actual core gameplay, and players simply upgraded their cards because they have to in order to compete in the higher ranges. Seriously, how is this the conclusion that they're coming at? That's like adding 2v2 ladder to the game and changing the battle button to a different color. And then when you get more players to flock to the game to try 2v2 ladder, you come to the conclusion that the new battle button color is what drove people to the game since people were hitting the new button a lot. I also want to highlight the part where Supercell says people were upgrading cards past their main deck, because I thought this is exactly what Supercell has always wanted. I remember hearing for years from Supercell that they have been saying that they want people to try new decks.
So we've got a problem in Royale. In 1v1, it's very beneficial for a player to focus on one deck. just focus on 8 cards. If you're just using the same Hog Rider deck for every day for like a year, like it's way better, like at least for me, to play lots of different decks.
Which isn't exactly easy without leveling them up. And there's also a little thing called balance changes that may have a slight influence on what cards people want to use. If my Mega Knight that hasn't been touched in years gets a spawn damage nerf of 20%, I'm probably going to try a different option. I think Supercell has always had this idea that people want to stick with one deck because people just genuinely enjoy sticking with one deck and hate change, when for the majority of players who do stick with one deck, it's because they can't compete without higher levels. And the players have been making their voices about this clear for years.
How the hell can we be more versatile if you guys barely gives us gold? All you greedy fucks care about are the overlevy or the piece of trash that can only progress ladder by their card level. That's the fucking reason free-to-play players stick on one deck. Because it can take us months to fully maximum out a deck. My god. You are a complete waste of oxygen.
But as Supercell states, leveling up cards is part of the core gameplay, and they want to make it fun. But Supercell simply can't add more card levels without hindering the progress of every player unless you automatically upgrade all the existing level 14 cards to level 15, but that just defeats the purpose of the reasoning they're giving. So I just don't know what they're trying to get away with here. Just remember this reasoning in case Supercell tries to change the reasoning in the future, saying that level 15 was necessary for whatever gameplay change is coming with it. That is not stated whatsoever with this post. Supercell, I know you know this, but I just want to make it clear. Leveling up cards is not fun because there is no gameplay change between levels. Level 13 versus level 13 is the same as level 14 versus level 14. It seems like they're trying to copy Clash of Clans, which just doesn't work for this game at all because Clash of Clans introduces new troops, defenses, and gameplay experiences when they add a new level, none of which applies to Clash Royale. However, there's one other potential reason I believe Supercell is adding level 15 so soon that many people haven't considered. When Supercell first announced level 14, the way it was going to work was that level 13 cards would start at 0 out of how many they needed to max out that card. But because this would put players who didn't upgrade their cards closer to maxing out their accounts versus those who took advantage of the event, whose sole purpose was to encourage people to upgrade their cards, mind you, outrage arose towards Supercell for this scam. This led to Supercell compensating the lost cards to level 13 players. So there's two possible scenarios that happened here. The first one is that Supercell planned for this outrage all along, meaning they were intentionally making things look bad in order to compensate and ease tensions, since they assumed that level 14 was going to bring backlash no matter how they handled it. The second possible scenario is that they genuinely didn't realize that level 13 players were going to get screwed and made the last minute change in an authentic way to fix the problem they oversaw. Level 15 may give credence to the latter. If Supercell really wasn't planning to compensate for the missing cards originally, this means level 13 players would have lost a lot more progress according to the original plan, messing Supercell's plan up. They planned for more of a grind that had to be changed last second, leaving their solution to be waiting until players start maxing out again and pushing out another level that sums up the original amount of grinding they originally intended with level 14. Or TLDR, they're trying to make up for the lost money they originally accounted for in 2021. This is just a theory. I can't read their minds and I don't know what their true intentions really were. But I will give credit where credit's due on one thing. They did announce the new level months in advance this time, giving players time to dictate how they're going to want to spend their resources long term, although I still don't think it's a good idea. The update for losers and the level 15 update are not for the players, and you know this, Supercell. You're doing it to squeeze more and more money out of your loyal player base, rearranging all the rewards to make us believe we're getting more, when the ultimate goal is clearly just to make the game better for you, not the players. If you really want more money, do it by adding worthwhile content. Make new cards, for Pete's sake. We got 3 in 2022, and 0 so far this year, and stop misleading and lying to your player base. The fake whoopsie apologies have gotten so old at this point. We are not falling for the idea that your intentions were for the player's benefit. I agree some of these changes could be justified, but the lies and lack of actual content expose your laziness and greed. Those are my thoughts and opinions on this update. I may make another video regarding this topic if any major developments occur, and I'm sure I'll talk about this again when level 16 inevitably comes out. Just so you know, there is up to level 19 in the game files right now, and since apparently card levels are acknowledged now as being part of the core gameplay, more levels are practically guaranteed to come. And remember, if you're frustrated with the update, the most effective tool you have is your wallet. If their revenue plummets, change will come fast. And just remember that Supercell is a company, and every company's priority is to make money. They are not your friend. The game has certainly seen better days, and the near future doesn't look great, but I'm sure the game will bounce back, and this controversy, like all the others, will soon be forgotten. But that's all from me. Let me know your thoughts on this update and level 15 in the comments. I'll try to be actively responding. Thank you all for watching, and have a good one.